Sup guys, Army-Firedawg back again, and today is actually the last day with my time with the AudioQuest NightHawks. These are one of the newest headphones on the high-end audio market. These go for about $600. Depending on what site you get them from, they retail for $6. So initially I was asked to review those because they are supposed to sound very similar to the Sennheiser HD650s. Which I love my 650s, so I was recommended to try them out to see I might actually like those better. So I finally got approval for a loaner program, had them for a week, put a lot of hours in listening to them, so let's get my impression on them. So of course I like to start first with the construction. So up front, hold them, they feel incredibly sturdy in my hands. Like without going any further into it, I feel very confident in these. Like they're robust, they have a lot of suspension, and I feel they're very competently made overall. Now, this does have a couple issues I can see come up, and I think y'all should be aware of. And it really only applies if you are not necessarily careful with your headphones. If you take care of them, you shouldn't have any of the following issues I will bring up. So, for the first one is the headband. The headband is on an elastic system. Now, for those of you who are familiar with elastic, know that it will lose its tautness over time. So my fear in that is that over the course of a couple years or a few years, this will lose its tautness and it'll just kind of flop down. So you won't no longer get that secure seal that these absolutely do provide. Next is, I'll take the protectors off, is these here. These are rubber suspenders. As you can see, they are very flexible. That is what causes the headphones to bivel. It's those right there, twist and turn. I feel if you are uncareful or do that way too much, you will snap these. And once they're snapped, I don't think that'll be a very cheap or easy fix. So keep that in mind. Now, other than those two issues, I don't think these will be any problem with long years of having them. In fact, AudioQuest themselves said they did a aging test process, and they said they passed all their tests, and they age their headphones artificially between 5 and 20 years, and they said they did pass the tests, so that's a good sign. Next, I want to go up with the comfort, and these are, oh my goodness, these are one of, if not the most comfortable pair of headphones I've ever tried. They are just amazing. The head suspension system goes, it just meshes to your head. No matter if you have a big head, a tiny head, it does not matter. And it just fits, oh my god, perfectly. The ear cups give the exact, just such a good, squishiness to it, but it stays firm. Like it doesn't just give way, but it's not concrete either. It just stays wonderful. I've worn these in excess of 5. My longest time is about 6 hours at a given time with these on. Normally that was in playing Destiny. But no issues. I never had to readjust them. Nothing. So comfort on these, absolutely, absolutely top notch. I do not have any complaints with comfort whatsoever. So very good job on your part, AudioQuest. So finally there's the sound. And again, I was recommended to these because a lot of people said, based on what I like in my audio, which is more of a warmer kind of presentation with a slight emphasis on the lower mids, upper bass range with very clean highs and maybe a little bit recessed on the sub bass. But so they said you might like these quite a bit because these have a very warm sound to them. And warm's not really what I would give them. I would say they're a good bit on the dark side. Star Wars. Anywho, before I talk about the individual aspects of the sound, I really want to touch on just how AudioQuest has just stunning imaging and transparency that lie in the NightHawks. They are just spot on. Like, even regardless of price point I've heard, they're absolutely better than anything I've heard sub $1,000. And they are so realistic in the imaging and the transparency department that I am blown away. Like, they did a wonderful job. The audio cues are very, very on point, very accurate. The soundstage now it is an intimate soundstage. It's still better than its normal closed back, but you can tell it's relatively close to you, but it's a very nice, up close, very intimate soundstage. but the layering is really spot on. Like, that adds even more to the imaging, is you can really depict where individual aspects are in an orchestra. So I think the AudioQuest did a very good job in their biocellulose drivers to reproduce that immersion, if you will. But imaging and transparency aside, I can keep going on about how awesome they are, but I mean, they're great. That sums them up. So let's start with the treble. The treble, unfortunately, on these is very lackluster. The highs are very, very recessed. Like, they're wonderfully clean. I get a very sense of accuracy to the artists when they're going high, but I don't get that energy transfer. Like, I never get chills. Like, for example, I was listening to one of my personal favorite songs, Tank, from the Seatbelts, from the anime Cowboy Bebop. I'm sure a lot of you have watched it. If not, watch it. Do yourself a favor. It's a great show. But it's a very high-paced, energy-filled song with a lot of trumpets, a couple saxophones in there. The artist really has an awesome voice to him. But it's just a wonderful presentation, and I get chills listening to that song on a high-energy, good or great treble-esque headphone or speaker. The NightHawks did not give me any of that feel that I like. I still felt it was, like I said, it was accurate to what I was hearing, but I wasn't impressed. They were very recessed, clean, but the treble was very, very recessed. So going towards the mids. The mids actually I don't have much complaints on. Or I have one big complaint, but I'll get to that to the end. But the mid are awesome. Like, they're awesome. They're more forward. They do have a good bit of forwardness to them. So they definitely stand out from the rest of the ensemble of the audio. But it's really nice. The lower mids, I think, are where it starts to show a little bit of coloration because of the bass bias, which I'll touch on here in a second. But that's about the only thing to the mids that starts to go away until, and this is actually closer to the treble side, but the upper mids, lower treble range. It's this right point where they clash. I don't know what frequency band it is, but in the, like I said, upper mids, lower treble range, right where they clash, there is a very sharp dip. Like, you go and it just plummets, and it just sounds very, very distorted. Now, it's only for a very small amount of hertz. Like, it's a very small spectrum, this is, and it's barely, barely audible. But it just sounds very distorted and very recessed. It sounds kind of not grainy, but just distorted. The only way I've been able to reproduce is consistently on other headphones so I can tell you how you can reproduce what I'm hearing, is if you have a music app, in my case it's Power Amp Pro, has a module called Stereo X. Turn that up. It's an artificial soundstage increaser. I never use it for this very reason. But if you turn it up, it just sounds off. It just you know when your grandma pinch your cheeks and you go kind of like that? That's how I feel the vocals are. They're just getting stretched. It just sounds distorted. It's not huge, not deal breaking, but it is something I think should be addressed. So finally, there's the bass. And the bass is absolutely the focal point of the NightHawks. They are not overpowering on the bass. If y'all know, I'm not a bass head, but I actually rather enjoy the thump on these guys. Like, it was very controlled. It was very impactful. It was very punchy, but I really enjoyed the bass. And I was quite surprised I enjoyed those as much as I did for how bassy they are. But especially for hard rock music or media, oh my goodness, action movies, The Expendables, one I recently watched, awesome. Holy crap, awesome on the NightHawks. But hard rock really comes alive. Like, I'll use Five Finger Death Punch. One of the songs I just listened to that, I've never heard on a better headphone, even my $1,500 ones sound better on the NightHawks. But it's the Five Finger Death Punch, Jekyll and Hyde. They really come alive on the NightHawks. Or anything with a nice, hard rock. It's hard rock style of music. It's very bassy, very impactful, very head bobbing or head thumping, whatever you want to use. So the bass on the AudioQuest NightHawks, I think, would satisfy honestly about any bass heads, unless you're on the extreme side. And any rock head, I think, who's in the higher end audio spectrum, I really do think would enjoy the NightHawks very, very well. So in summary of the AudioQuest NightHawks, I find them to be a very, very aesthetically pleasing headphone. Probably the most beautiful headphone I've ever personally seen. Despite being a bit darker in person than what I've seen on pictures, still gorgeously done. Like, I feel like I'm holding art in my hand. The only one I've ever considered that might be on par with the NightHawks is the Diamond Tears by Monster. Those are gorgeous headphones as well. But I feel the AudioQuest NightHawks really excel if you are a hard rock lover, like you really like the harder side of music, and you're more of a media, like you listen to headphones for media purposes more so than music. I really think the AudioQuest is right up your alley, and you should definitely try out the NightHawks if you're in that about $600 price range. Now, I was asked by a friend of mine to compare the AudioQuest NightHawks to that of the Sennheiser HD650s. Now, I will leave that for a comparison video, which I'll post here very soon. But to kind of sum it up, and I pretty much did it earlier, if you want more of a realistic, more of a you're there kind of experience, I really would recommend the AudioQuest NightHawks, especially, again, if you're more of the media side of audio, like you like the movies, listen to headphones as opposed to music. Now, if you want more of a relaxing, more of a fulfilling experience for across a much broader spectrum of audio as opposed to just kind of the hard rock specialty, then I think you'll really enjoy the Sennheiser HD650s. I find them to be much more accurate. They scale much better, and I think would please the more of the audiophile audience more than the NightHawks would. But I'll get more in depth to that in the video, which I'll post here very soon. But that's all for my review of the AudioQuest NightHawks, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have to give a huge shout out again to Todd and TTVJ Audio. If you want to get yourself a pair, I will of course leave a link to his website in the description box down below. Definitely check it out, guys. But my name's Army-Firedawg. If you liked the video, hit that like button. I greatly appreciate your support. If you have any questions for me, or if you'd like me to do another comparison, or just want to generally talk about what you got and what you have going on, hit me up in the comments, guys. I love talking to you all, and I respond to everyone. But if you really like my content, or you really like looking at this pretty face, or my kind of hyperactivity, whichever one you also like, hit that subscribe button, guys. Keep yourself on the field in. But as always, my name is Army-Firedawg. It's been a pleasure, but most importantly, stay safe.